You know, in the world of cybersecurity, some attacks are like ghosts. They're old, they're famous, and they just refuse to go away. Today, we're digging into one of the oldest and honestly one of the most dangerous of them all, the buffer overflow. So yeah, let's dive into this foundational vulnerability.
And look, this is not some new cutting-edge threat. The buffer overflow has been causing absolute chaos for decades. I mean, think about it. Way back in 1988, the Morris worm used one to basically shut down 10% of the entire internet. A few years later, this legendary article comes out and just lays the whole technique bare for everyone to see. Then the early 2000s hit, and boom, worms like Code Red and Slammer are using this same old trick to cause billions in damages. The point is, this isn't just an old flaw, it's a foundational vulnerability with a long, long history of destruction.
So what is a buffer overflow really? Let's forget all the technical jargon for a second and break it down with a super simple analogy.
Okay, so here's the official definition from NIST. It talks about putting more input into a data area than it was made for, which overwrites other information. Which, yeah, is technically correct, but it's also a little dry, isn't it? What does that actually look like?
Let's go back to our analogy. Imagine a program's memory is a house, and in the wall there's a mailbox. That's our buffer. It's built to hold one standard-sized letter. That's the data it expects. But an attacker doesn't send a letter. Oh no, they take this giant rolled-up poster and just shove it into the mail slot. The poster is way too long. It doesn't just fill the mailbox, it punches right through the back and spills out into the living room. That right there, that's the overflow.
Okay, so what? Data spills into a place it's not supposed to be. That just sounds messy. How does a poster in the living room suddenly give the sender the keys to the entire house? Well, that is where the real magic trick begins.
See, the secret is that this isn't just about randomly spilling data everywhere. The attack is incredibly precise. That spillover is aimed at one very specific, very critical piece of information that tells the whole program what to do next.
To get this, we have to talk about something called the stack. Whenever a program is doing stuff, it uses a chunk of memory called the stack to keep track of it all. Just think of it like the program's short-term memory, or a temporary to-do list.
And on that to-do list, there is one item that is the most important thing on there. It's called the return address. After a task is done, the return address is like the program's GPS. It tells the computer exactly where to go next to pick up where it left off.
And here is how the whole hijack goes down. In a lot of programming languages, that mailbox, the buffer, is located on the stack, sitting right next to that all-important return address. So when the attacker's giant poster spills out of the mailbox, the very end of it literally covers up the original good address and writes a new one over it, an address the attacker chose. So now, when the program finishes its task and looks at its GPS for where to go next, it reads the hacker's coordinates instead.
At this point, the attacker has totally redirected the program. They've hijacked it. But where did they send it? Well, they sent it to a brand new set of instructions that they wrote. This is the exact technique that was laid out in glorious detail in that 1996 article, Smashing the Stack for Fun and Profit. It basically became the Bible for how to do this, not just crash a program, but to completely take it over. Now this malicious payload, these instructions the program is tricked into running, it's called Shellcode. Why? Because its classic purpose was to pop open a command line interface, a shell, on the victim's computer. And once you have a shell, you have a direct line in. You can run any command you want with all the power of the program you just hijacked. And here is the most beautiful, most devious part of the whole thing. Where is this shellcode hidden? It's written on the poster itself. The exact same oversized piece of data that causes the overflow also contains the evil instructions. The attack isn't just breaking down the door, it's carrying the intruder in on its back. It's brilliant. So obviously, after decades of these attacks, the good guys have fought back. And what that's created is this constant, unending arms race between new ways to exploit the flaw and new ways to defend against it.
The defenses pretty much fight on two main fronts. You've got compile time defenses, which are protections that are baked right into the program's DNA before it ever sees the light of day. And then you have runtime defenses, which are protections that the operating system itself uses to guard the program while it's actually running.
A classic compile time defense, and one of my favorites, is called the stack canary. It's named after the old canaries in a coal mine. Here's the deal. The compiler puts a small, secret, random number, our canary, on the stack right before the return address. Now, for an attacker to overwrite that return address, they have to overwrite the canary first. So, right before the program uses its GPS, it takes a quick look at the canary. If the number is changed, it knows something is wrong. It knows it's being attacked, and it just shuts itself down safely. No hijack. Then you have the runtime side, where modern operating systems have some really powerful tricks. One is a non-executable stack, which basically makes the stack memory area a no-code allowed zone. So even if an attacker gets their shellcode in there, it's not allowed to run, period. Another huge one is address space layout randomization, or ASLR. This just constantly shuffles where everything is in memory. It makes it practically impossible for an attacker to guess what malicious address they need to write to take control.
Which of course brings us to the big final question. If we have canaries and non-executable stacks and this address randomization, then why in the world is this still one of the most dangerous software bugs out there? Why hasn't this problem just been solved and put to bed?
Well, the answer goes way down into the design philosophy of the languages that run most of the world. Languages like C and C++ were built for one thing above all else: speed, raw, unfiltered performance. They give the programmer direct access to memory. By contrast, modern languages like Java or Python are built for safety first. They have all these automatic checks that just prevent overflows from happening. But that safety costs you in performance. The power and the speed of a language like C comes with a massive trade-off. The programmer is 100% responsible for memory safety. One little mistake, one unchecked input, and a vulnerability is born.
And so, that's what we're left with. This fundamental trade-off. So much of our digital world is built with tools that chose speed over safety. And that means the buffer overflow isn't really a bug we can just squash and be done with. It's a permanent feature of the landscape. The question isn't if we can ever eliminate it, it's how we keep evolving to manage this ghost in the machine. A ghost that, in many ways, we built in ourselves right from the very start.